Welcome to the Practical Cybersecurity Bootcamp. In this course, we will look at the 5 steps of hacking, various reconnaissance techniques, such as passive reconnaissance tactics and procedures, how we can actively probe and assess our targets using industry standard tools. In the exploitation phase, I will guide you how we can exploit our targets effectively. We will also cover various ways to crack passwords. In the web application pen testing section, we will try to develop a sound methodology using renowned tools. Next, we will learn how we can hack those pesky Wi-Fis, how we can do phishing assessments using the GoPhish framework. Finally, we will look at how we can combine every finding into a fine penetration test report. At the end of the course, I will share some valuable resources to help you in your cybersecurity journey. So buckle up and let's go. Hi, welcome to the Practical Cybersecurity Bootcamp. This course will cover penetration testing and its various types on a fundamental level. This course, by all means, is not all inclusive. We will cover everything on a fundamental level. So that's why it is recommended for beginners or people who have some basis in information technology but are new to cybersecurity field and penetration testing and want to work their way up in the professional cybersecurity ladder. At the end of this course, I will share some resources that will further help you guys in your skill building and self improvement. And I'm sure after you guys are finished with this course, you will have a better understanding of what penetration testing is, how it works, and you will also have some tools and skills under your grasp, which, when combined with your practice and self learning, will surely help you in becoming a substantial contributor in the ever growing information security industry. So, who am I? I am a SOC/slash vulnerability assessment and penetration testing consultant. I have several years of field experience, tested and secured several corporate projects ranging from information management systems to web applications. And also in the blue team, I have been part of various SOC environments, have worked on various theme deployments and fine tuning. Talking about my certifications and my credentials, I've shared my experience with you, but when it comes to certification, I've done some popular ones. This is not all inclusive, but I've done ECPPT from Eland Security, Certified SOC Practitioner from Network Intelligence, Cybersecurity Analyst certification from IBM, and CYSA Plus from CompTIA. Topics covered in the course. We will cover various topics in our course related to penetration testing, and this will include theory and mostly practical demonstrations pertaining to various types of things that are part of penetration testing. So, first of all, what is penetration testing? Penetration testing, often referred to as pen testing, is a proactive and methodological approach to assessing the security of computer systems, networks, and applications. It simulates real world cyber attacks to uncover vulnerabilities and weaknesses that malicious actors would exploit. By mimicking the techniques of potential hackers, ethical hackers, or white hat hackers, identify security flaws and provide actionable recommendations to fortify an organization's defenses. So, in short, penetration testing is like a digital stress test for security. It mimics real attacks to find weaknesses and helps organizations bolster their protection. Think of it as a safety check for the digital world. So, what are some modules we will cover in the course? We'll start with reconnaissance, which can also be synonymized with information gathering, how we can collect intelligence on our target. We'll also cover the 5 steps of ethical hacking, which form the basis of our penetration testing journey. Then, we'll also learn how we can actively probe our target during the vulnerability assessment and scanning phase. And then, how we can use that information to exploit our target in the exploitation phase. All of these phases will have some kind of practical demonstration, which will provide you with strong base for your professional development in the cybersecurity and penetration testing industry. Then we will cover password cracking, which comes under the post-exploitation phase. We cannot cover post-exploitation fully, but we will learn how we can use different kinds of tools to crack various common types of passwords and hashes after the exploitation phase. Then we will cover a very important field of penetration testing, which is web application penetration testing. And again, this will just be summarized and brief look at what we can do in web app penetration testing, and this will build upon our previous modules. So we will look at various tools and methodologies which are used to do web application penetration testing. And after we are done with this module, you will have a good grasp on this particular and very interesting penetration testing field. Then we will cover wireless penetration testing. And in wireless penetration testing, we will look at how we can actually test the security of Wi-Fi networks, especially the WPA PSK2 Wi-Fi standard, which is often implemented in organizations and homes alike. Then in the social engineering phase, there will be a practical demonstration of phishing in which we will look at the GoFish framework and how we can utilize that to our phishing assessments. And then finally, we will conclude our course with reporting, how we can generate a pen testing report, what constitutes a penetration testing report, and what is the difference between a good and a bad penetration testing report. After the reporting section is done, I will share some resources with you guys, some labs, some certifications, and some cybersecurity wisdom I've collected through my journey. It will definitely help you climb the profession ladder of penetration testing and cybersecurity industry. So without further ado, let's get to our first topic, which is reconnaissance. Welcome to the electrifying world of the wireless penetration test phase. Think of it as your hackerspace in the wireless realm. This phase is all about getting inside the invisible pathways of wireless networks. Just like a digital locksmith picking the virtual locks, it's a thrilling adventure where we explore, assess, and secure wireless environments. In wireless pen testing, we check the strength of the Wi-Fi security. For example, in this video, we will check the strength of a WPA2 PSK wireless network. But there are many more ways to test a wireless network besides this, depending on that particular network. Wireless pen testing is a field of its own. So this will only be an overview of the whole process. So some prerequisite we need to talk before we get onto the pen testing stage, pen testing video demonstration. Uh, this course will not cover the different types of wireless networks and security standards. That is a prerequisite that you have to know to understand all of the stuff that we will do in the practical section. And because this course assumes that you have a good amount of networking knowledge, for example, CCNA or a Network Plus. And then there are some things in wireless networks, in Wi-Fi, that we need to know, that what is an SSID, ESSID, or and channels. So I will just give a brief overview of these. SSID is basically a service set identifier, and that is normally the name of our, that is usually the name of our Wi-Fi network. BSSID, basic service set identifier, is the MAC address of the Wi-Fi adapter, the Wi-Fi network adapter that is serving the Wi-Fi, basically the network that we're going to attack. And channels are different frequencies. So because Wi-Fi works uh, in the form of radio waves, and when you have different Wi-Fi connections, if they have the same frequency, if the waves have the same frequency, those can clash with each other and they can cancel each other. So that's why we have different channels. So each network is on their own frequency and other networks cannot collide with it, and different multiple amount of Wi-Fi networks can coexist and work in a harmonious manner in a space, because Wi-Fi cannot be contained by physical or material boundaries. So the tools used for this demonstration are, first of all, we are using a TP-Link wireless adapter. I will show you the picture of that also. And it is used to capture the network traffic so that we can uh, pen test it and crack the password. And you can, in the video, I will show you other options also. So you can use any wireless adapter that works in Kali Linux or any Linux that you're using for penetration testing of your choice, and it should support monitor mode, which is the mode we use to capture traffic. And then we are using the uh, air framework. Basically, these are different tools: AirMonNG, AeroDump, Air Replay, Air Crack, and these all are going to be used in our cracking process. So this is the Wi-Fi adapter I'm using. This is very cheap and also very common, but it has different versions, and that is something I've discussed in the video. But this is not going to be about setting up the adapter in a virtual machine or in a containerized machine, because there are different ways to do that, and depending on the adapter you have, the process can be different. This the video will just focus on the practical demonstration of wireless cracking. So I will explain the hacking process briefly. So first of all, we place the wireless card, the adapter we're going to use, in this case the TP-Link adapter, into monitor mode so it can monitor the network traffic that is passing. And I've discussed that in detail in the video also. And basically, it is different from the managed mode we have in we our devices use when because our devices also have, like our phone and laptops also have Wi-Fi adapters, but they don't support monitor mode, and usually they are in managed mode. And what managed mode does is that it can just connect to a client, but it cannot listen to the traffic that is in the air. So it can eavesdrop uh, the network traffic, the Wi-Fi traffic. Then we go to the discovery stage, in which we will start monitoring the network and start monitoring different networks, and then we decide what is, if we already have a predefined target, if the target is within our range or not, or if we don't have a target, we can determine a target based on the information we get when we put the card into monitor mode and start uh, eavesdropping on the network communication in the air. So there are two important pieces of information that I've discussed before that we need to collect from this information about our target, and that is the BSS ID, which is the MAC address of the Wi-Fi network, and the channel, its frequency. And then with this information, when we have this, we go into select, where we select that particular network when attack, and then start capturing data from that. And basically, like again, in the video I've discussed this, but when we start capturing the information, we are actually eavesdropping on any information, any communication that is happening between that network and its clients. So we are just we are acting as a middleman, and we are collecting all of that information. And when we have the information about the network, we perform a deauth attack, or a de-authentication attack. And what it does is that this is in some cases optional. I'll discuss this further in the video also. But basically, what it does is that uh, when we want to capture the four-way handshake, the communication, because we're cracking the WPA2 PSK, pre-shared key network, in which the password is shared. The client shares the password with the Wi-Fi network. So we're going to capture that handshake so that we can capture the password, and then we can crack it. So we de-authenticate a client deliberately. So when their connection is disconnected, we uh, they try to connect again automatically or deliberately, and then when they try to connect again with the network, it will perform a handshake. So the client will share its password again with the server or the network, Wi-Fi network, and that way we will, uh, being the eavesdropper, being the middleman, we will uh, snatch that key or copy that key from there so that we can crack it on our machine. And that is the next step. We capture the WPA handshake, basically the key that is being shared with the network, and then we uh, attempt to crack it with using brute force or dictionary attack. But in this demonstration, we will use a word list as part of our dictionary attack. So that is the whole hacking process of wireless uh, networks, specifically WPA to PSK, which is commonly used in organization and households. Hi, welcome to the demonstration of wireless penetration testing. In this tutorial, I will teach you how to crack the Wi-Fi password for WPA to PSK Wi-Fi. So first of all, to hack this kind of Wi-Fi, basically this is the WPA PSK2 is the common Wi-Fi, common wireless standard that is normally used in our households and in most organizations. So first of all, crack any kind and to crack this kind of wireless network, you need a Wi-Fi adapter with monitor mode. So you cannot use a built-in laptop Wi-Fi or mobile Wi-Fi. You need to buy another adapter. So I'm using this adapter for the task. This is TLWN722N from TP-Link. It has 4 versions, so uh, you can use any of them, and these work on Linux. So these also work on Kali Linux. But because of the difference in versions, there are different ways to uh, make it work in Linux for Wi-Fi cracking. So I won't go into detail because about setting it up, because each version has different method to install it on Linux for Wi-Fi cracking. And then there are other chipsets, other adapters you can use. So this is the TP-Link device I'm using, and it has this chipset. Basically, this is version 1. So I'm using version 3. So it has a different chipset. Basically, this is the one it is using. So and for that you need some drivers. But tutorials are available on the internet, so you can about setting up the adapters in Kali Linux. You can check those tutorials that are widely available on the internet. So I won't go into detail about setting them up. We will just start the hacking. So first of all, this is from where we begin, and this is gonna be the same process for any adapter. So before this, you're gonna set up the adapter, and we have this command iwconfig, and with this you will check whether your adapter is detected or not. And sometimes the adapter do get detected, but they have uh, they have problems when you change the mode of the adapter to monitor mode from manage. So this is the default mode, manage mode, where we just access the Wi-Fi, but we cannot capture handshakes and we cannot listen to the network traffic. So first of all, we will change the mode from manage to monitor, because we want to monitor the wireless network we want to hack. And I will go into that later. I will show you the router I'm going to hack, the Wi-Fi network I'm going to hack. But first, we're going to set up this device to monitor the network. Okay, our first command is if config, we will check. So because this is a virtual machine, uh, so I'm using 2 adapters. This is the basic, just for internet connectivity, in case something goes wrong during the process. So you can install stuff, but you can uh, do that even on a physical machine with just the adapter, because once we change the mode from manage to monitor, it's gonna capture the traffic. So this is our VLAN 0, and as you can see, it doesn't have an IP address. So because this is the one running currently, and because we are using this for hacking, just for Wi-Fi cracking, we don't need internet running on it. Clear it. And now what we need to do first is to turn the adapter down. So before any configuration changes, before turning anything down, we need to turn the adapter off. So with this command, if config wlan 0 our Wi-Fi interface and this down command, we give it the password and it is down. And now if we check if config, we don't have the wireless network, so we have turned it on. And now we will use this command. IW is basically for intent for wireless, and we choose the adapter, and mode is equal to monitor. So this will change the mode from manage to monitor, and this with when our device is using this mode, it can actually capture the network traffic. So it is not in a client server, you can say mode, it won't connect to the target. It will just capture the traffic. It is like an eavesdropper. It will just capture the network traffic from different networks in its vicinity. So different devices have different ranges. So in its range it will capture all the devices in its range. So now we will so now we will press enter and the mode should be changed. And now we will use the command we used before. This time we will change the down to up, and this way we will activate our Wi-Fi interface. And now we have our interface running again, but this time we can see the difference that last time it was managed, but now it is in monitor mode. So it is ready to capture network traffic, and then we can crack start the cracking process. Okay, we clear it. There's also one more command we need to use, and this is airmon ng check it. So basically airmon uh, is a tool. It is a set, actually a collection of tool, airmon, aerodump, aircrack. This is a collection of tool starting with they have the prefix air, and these are used for Wi-Fi cracking. So there are different tools for different things. So basically airmon is air monitor, and this program helps us in managing the Wi-Fi cracking process. So the check till command is basically used to check for any network services running that can conflict with our adapter, and it will kill it. So it can capture the traffic, monitor the traffic without any hindrances. So basically, WPS applicant, this is the normal Wi-Fi process that runs in the background, and most of the time you have to kill it for if you want to use your device for Wi-Fi cracking. This is the process you will normally found in your Linux machine. So now that we have everything done, we will start the process. So first of all, uh, something we already discussed in our theoretical portion is that our first phase is to start capturing the network traffic and see whether our device is detecting the network we want to crack. Because when we start the pen testing process, we already know our target. So in this case, I actually have a home router which I'm gonna crack, and don't bother uh, copying this IP address because this is just a local network. So this won't help anyone crack into my own network. So I will log into the settings. This is my Wi-Fi network. So the name is Sneaky, and this is the password. And why I'm showing you the password before is that uh, because when we're gonna crack it, we need to know that whether we cracked the right password. This is the password I'm using, ABCT1234. This password is one of the common ones. So uh, WPA PSK2 has a 8 character minimum character policy. So you have to use minimum 8 characters, and it can go up to 63 characters. So most of the people use 8 characters. They don't want to set up long passwords, and that is actually a weak thing because those passwords can be brute forced, or there are dictionaries available, different lists. For example, the Rocky list, which is very popular. It is one of the the biggest lists found in a data breach. There's more than 14 million passwords. We can use that list for cracking also. So, because this is gonna be mix of a dictionary and brute force attack. Because we're gonna use a dictionary, we're gonna use a list, but it gonna it's gonna check it one by one, and that's a lengthy process if you have a strong password. So I'm already giving a hint about the mitigations or hardening. If you want to harden your Wi-Fi network, you need to use strong and lengthy passwords. So this is the network, and as you can see, it is using WPA2 PSK pre-shared key, and this is the password it is using. So I'll just leave it as it is, and now we'll start the cracking. So we will use the Aero dump ng. Again, this is part of the air framework, and this is basically used for monitoring the network and then trying to capture the handshake, the four-way handshake, which we will discuss a little bit later, the video of the network to crack it. So we will start the monitoring process on our Wi-Fi. So as we can see, it has started capturing different Wi-Fi networks. And for example, even if the process starts and your adapter is not catching anything, you can always try restarting your Linux installation and then try the monitor mode process, which I showed you, the 4-step process again, setting the device to monitor mode, and then you can try again, and it should be able to pick up different networks. So first of all, we have the BSS ID. This is basically the MAC addresses of the devices. And then this is the different information related to the network, its power, its frequency, data packets. And again, this information is very important. So two pieces of information are very important. First is the MAC address of the device, and then the channel. Channels are basically different frequencies on which the network is hosting its wireless connection. And this is the encryption cipher it is using. Authentication is PSK, basically pre-shared key, which we discussed before. Is The password is shared when when a client tries to connect to the wireless network. So, and that is actually the way we capture the password. Which I'll explain in detail when I show it. And these are the names of the different networks. So, as we saw before, the network we're going to crack is Sneaky. And this is again the information it is using. So we need to do two things here. Make another tab, and we can open Vim or Nano, any text editor of your choice, and we can name it Wi-Fi info or text. I'm going to insert, and we need to note the piece of information. So, for example, BSSID of our target, which is basically this one. I can actually stop this and then I'll paste it. The second thing is the channel info. So we need to know the channel. So this was using channel one. This is easy to remember. And then we can also note down its name just to be sure. And I will save this information. We have this information here. And now we have the information we needed to start the hacking process. I can, what we can do is to start capturing the handshake. So now to capture the process, we will use the information we got before from the network monitoring we did before. So we will use the aerodump ng tool we used before. But this time we will use the BSSID switch, and this will actually tell it that we don't need to capture the whole network traffic in range. We just need to capture traffic from this network. So it will pinpoint its monitoring capabilities, monitoring faculties to this network. And I'm gonna copy paste this here. This is the second step of our hacking process. And now we will give it the channel. We can also use channel or C. Give it one. And then the network interface, which our Wi-Fi adapter is working. So we will start this. We will give it the password. And now it is capturing the traffic on this network. So any client that is trying to connect to this network, it will try to capture the key. So basically, I will sum it up. I will summarize the process. How this works, how the Wi-Fi cracking process works. So basically, in terms of when you have a wired connection, you are the client and server or the network or client is connected with a wire, so you cannot eavesdrop on it. And even if you can, uh, the information is encrypted. But that is the same thing in the Wi-Fi network, but Wi-Fi is open, so you cannot go into somebody else's house and eavesdrop into their wired network, but you can eavesdrop on their wireless network because Wi-Fi is based on, it uses the air as a medium for communication, and it uses waves. So basically, you can capture those waves because those are not contained by, if my neighbor or if a company is using a wireless network, their building or their rooms cannot contain their network. So I can just capture those waves if I an adapter just like this with monitor mode, and then when they are communicating, I can capture that communication info. And how Wi-Fi works is basically is that a key, whenever a Wi-Fi client tries to connect to the network, they exchange the key with the network, and when the network approves, then the connection happens. So every time they have to connect to the network, they need to share their key, which is the password. So the client tells them like, I have this password, and then the network verifies it from their database that the password is wrong or right or wrong, and then it tells the device, and then if the password is correct, the connection is formed. So in this process, what we are doing is with our adapter, we are capturing that password, we're capturing that handshake, from the air, from the two client and networks connecting with each other, communicating with each other, and we will try to crack it. So as we can see, this is the network and these are the clients trying to connect to it. So I actually have this device. This is actually a mobile phone. And if I have the right password, it should capture it. So this is basically the mode. It has right now it has not captured anything because the devices are already connected. The handshake was already done before we started the monitoring process. So I we have two options now. Either we can wait for the device to disconnect, and when they connect again, they will have that four-way handshake again, and we will have the password, and it will tell us in under this notes column. Or we can actually deliberately disconnect the device of our choice, which we can do, and then we can make them connect again uh, whenever we want, and then when they share the key, we can capture it. So that's the thing we will do because again these are waves. We can actually tamper with the waves, we can create noise, and we can cause uh, discommunication. And this is actually called a Wi-Fi de-auth attack, de-authentication attack. We can actually de-authenticate the device, which is type of a denial of service. So not just that we can crack the wireless network, we can also cause a denial of service in the network. So I will do just that. I will clear this. Use the arrow dump command again, but this time we'll give it the auth switch and zero. It is always zero. We need to give it the zero, number zero. And then again, we'll give it the router address we want to attack, the communication which we want to disrupt. So we'll give it the address and the client we want to disconnect. So because I have this device, mobile phone, and I want to disconnect the communication between the router and this device. So I will give it that. And then the Wi-Fi adapter we want to use. So, okay, maybe we made a mistake. Oh, sorry. Big mistake I've done. Actually, we don't use the arrow dump framework, arrow dump. We use air replay. This is again part of the air framework for Wi-Fi cracking. So we use this. So we checked air crack. So basically we checked arrow dump, air mon for monitoring, dump to monitor the network, and capture the traffic, air replay is for the authentication attack, and then we will also use air crack for cracking. So this is the one. Okay, we again another mistake. It is air replay. Basically, it uses 1 hour. So now it is sending packets to disconnect the client. This client. So now my mobile network should not be able to, and I cannot actually show you, but we will see something here. So basically we have another network which has connected and we have the key, but this network which we have is not able to connect, and because it's trying to connect, it has actually shared the key. So I will stop this because now we have the key. I will stop this attack. And this was just for the show, for the show. We actually this is a live capture and we have not saved it, and because we have not saved it, we cannot crack anything. So we will do another thing. We will actually save the capture. We use the -w for writing. We will write the capture into some files, and we have a handshake folder already, and I will save it as I will save it there as psk something. Okay, and now I will start the capture again, and I will try to connect to it. And we have the key here. Again, even if some device does not connect, as devices are already connected, we can deauth them, deauthenticate them, and then we can capture their keys very safely. So these two need to be running simultaneously when you want to capture a handshake, because we already have a handshake. It is telling us in the notes that it has captured the PM key ID, the key pre-shared key for this network. So we don't need to do anything further. And now we will stop the Wi-Fi handshake capturing process. And now we can see that we have the captures saved. So .cap file, you can run this in Wireshark, and this is basically the packet capture file. You can run it in TCP dump, Tshark, Wireshark. You check the traffic if you want to analyze it, but we just want to crack it. So for cracking, we will use this. And there are other files, CSV and different log files for different tools, for different uh, pertaining to different things. But just for this course and video, we just need to know that this is the most important file for our cracking. So now we will start the cracking process. So as you can see, I already have the docu.txt uh, list ready, which I already told you that it is one of the most comprehensive credential lists that was ever found, and it contains probably more than 14 million credentials. It is always good to use this one for cracking. You can use other lists also. You can make your own list depending on your target. But when you don't know your target, or if you know you just want to try uh, something on your target, it is good to use this. But because this is comprehensive, it will take a long time, so it is not recommended. It is always recommended to use the top 100 bad password or top 1000 bad password list. Something because brute force attacks takes a lot of time, cracking takes a lot of time, and it is not considered a good practice to use bigger lists because nobody has the time, and any attack that takes a lot of time and is still very unpredictable, or you don't have certainty about the result in your favor, as a penetration tester or as a hacker, you don't want to use it. So this is the last, you can say this is the last hurrah for a penetration tester or hacker. But in case of wireless testing, because people tend to use common passwords and stuff, we use this. Otherwise, if we can get their password in some other way, we will try that through social engineering or any of that thing. So now we will crack the password. And for that, we will clear it and we will use this tool, aircrack, again part of the air framework. We will give it the list, which is ROQ, and we will give it the MAC address of the device, the network. We're gonna crack again the BSS ID, and we will give it the capture file. We capture. So basically, what it does is that it will try to crack the network handshake with words from this list. So if our password, Wi-Fi password is in this list, it should be able to crack it. So now we will start the cracking process. And it can take a lot of time depending on your list. So as we already saw in the beginning of our video, and we can check that again, that what a crack has found is the same password. And because it is telling us that it has found it, so basically it has trusted it that it is the original password, and we can now use it to connect to the network. So we have actually cracked the wireless network. As we can see, ABCD1234, ABCD1234 is the password. So that was all for the wireless cracking process. Hope you enjoyed this demonstration. In this section, we looked at wireless pen testing methodology and how we can crack a WPA2 wireless network. There are other types of wireless standards that we can crack, but that is for another day. Uh, I will urge the students to explore that on their own. There are different blog posts, different uh, things available in the form of books or on the internet or in courses uh, that are advanced for this course, because wireless cracking involves a lot of knowledge, and that's why I have not covered those in this course, but I will urge the student to improve upon it, what they have learned, and then look at those things if they're interested in pen testing, wireless pen testing. So see you in the next video. Happy hacking. Imagine stepping onto the stage of human psychology, where words are your tools and trust is your currency. Social engineering is the art of influence, where cyber actors become digital actors, using charm, persuasion, and cunning to manipulate people into revealing confidential information or taking actions they normally wouldn't. It's a performance in the theater of trust and deception. A student must understand some fundamental concepts in social engineering to effectively assess and improve an organization's security posture. Some of these key concepts include trust and manipulation, which is social engineering that relies on exploiting human trust, or pretexting, creating a fabricated scenario or pretext, obtain information or actions from a target. This could involve posing as a colleague, customer, or authority figure. Phishing, one of the most important and most popular types. Sending deceptive emails, messages, or websites that mimic trusted entities, trick recipients into revealing sensitive information or taking harmful actions. Baiting, offering something enticing, such as a free download or prize, to lure individuals into a trap that compromises their security. Tailgating, gaining unauthorized access to a secured area by following someone with legitimate access or asking for assistance to enter. Finally, elicitation, extracting information from individuals through casual conversations, often without their awareness that sensitive data is being revealed. Now we will look at one of the most important concepts in social engineering, and that is phishing. So picture yourself on a digital phishing expedition where the bait isn't worms but cunningly crafted emails and websites. Phishing is the art of casting these baited hooks into the vast sea of the internet, hoping to trick unsuspecting victims into sharing their sensitive information like passwords and credit card numbers. It's a virtual con game where the fisher wears many masks, but the goal remains the same: reel in your personal data. Now we will look at a practical example of how we can do a phishing assessment with the help of the GoFish framework. It's gonna be really interesting, so sit tight. Before we dive into the practical demonstration, a little info about the GoFish framework. GoFish is like a digital phishing pole for security professionals. It's an open source phishing framework that enables you to create and execute phishing campaigns for the purpose of assessing and improving your organization's security. With GoFish, you can emulate real world phishing attacks, measure their effectiveness, and educate your team about the importance of cyber awareness and vigilance. So, this is a comprehensive video of GoFish framework installation and how to create phishing campaigns for phishing assessments during the penetration tests. Okay, first of all, what is GoFish? It is an open source phishing framework And by framework, it means that it is a comprehensive tool in which you can set up phishing campaigns for a whole organization or multiple organizations. So it is a very advanced tool, and this will just be a brief overview, but we will cover almost all the things aspects, but just briefly because this is a big tool. It requires a complete course of its own, just uh, which explains how to utilize this tool to its utmost potential. But we will just cover it from glance. But we will cover almost all the fundamental things. So first of all, we need to install it. We press download. It will take us to the GoFish GitHub page from where we can install it. And there are also some guides that are available that we can use to set this tool up. So what we can do is to use this Linux file. So we'll download it. Stop. Need to transfer it from some folder of our liking. I will name it GoFish. Paste it there, and then we can extract it. So this is the file. We can go to the GoFish page and see how we can install it. So for the installation, they're saying that it is very simple. We just need to extract it and run the binary. We'll do just that. This is the GoFish binary that we need to run. So we will GoFish, go to GoFish, how extracted. Okay, we have downloaded the OS X release, Paul. We can go here again. Download again. Yes, we actually downloaded the wrong installation that was for Mac. So now we are downloading the installation for the Linux. This is something we need to be sure about. Okay, it is downloaded. Now we the other directory, we delete these, paste our Linux installation, extract it. Okay, now we have, yes, now we have the Linux installation. When go into it and we try to run, so we give it execution permissions, GoFish binary, and then we run it. And there are some things we will have to change later in the configuration for our landing page and templates, which we will discuss in detail a little bit later in the video. But now we have our GoFish installation hosted, so it is running, and we can access our GoFish page at port 3333. So local, it is running on our local host, localhost 3333. Okay, it is converting it. Yes, we use HTTPS because we don't have a certificate, we'll just accept and continue. So now we have our installation ready, but this is just the beginning. The hard part is after that, and we should have our username and password given to us. So here is the username and password we need to log in. So this is admin and this is the password. So this is gibberish. So and one time, so we it is recommended that we change it after we log in. So username is admin and this is the password. So we type admin and copy paste the password and we should be able to sign in. And now we will change it. So I will just, because this is just a demo, I will set it up to admin one two. Is it is easy to remember, but it is not recommended in when you are actually doing a test or actually setting up on in a production environment. You need to have strong passwords. This is just for demo purposes. Okay, we need to have it 8 letter at least. So admin 1 2 3 and we save it. So we are logged in and now we can discuss these functions. So we have the dashboard. When we create a campaign and it is scheduled or running live, we can actually see the campaigns here. This is the most crucial portion. This is where we set up our campaigns, phishing campaigns. We can set up multiple campaigns. We can set up live or scheduled campaigns. So we'll go into this into detail. Users and group, we can set up users or groups to attack, to phish. So we can add a lot of groups and users, and then depending on what group we want to attack, or multiple groups or multiple users, we can choose them and just attack, just set up a phishing assessment for them. Email templates. So when we're going to send a phishing email to them, uh, of course, they'll see an email which will urge them to uh, click on something, click on some malicious link we want them to click on, and it needs to be persuasive or manipulative, or anything that can manipulate them to click on the link we want. So that's where this part comes, email templates, and this is very important. We need to have a good email template. This is the starting point for our attack. So this is the first thing that the victim will see. So it needs to be persuasive, it needs to manipulate them, and we will go into detail about this. And landing page, basically when uh, the person will click the link, landing page is the second thing the user is gonna see, and that is also gonna be a something that uh, would be created by us, and this is where we get the credentials. So for example, we send them an email from an account which shows itself to be from LinkedIn, for example, and this is what our demonstration gonna be like. And they click a link and then they're onto the LinkedIn page, but that would be the fake LinkedIn page, which would be our landing page. And then they will give us their credential. It will be those will be saved, and then we will redirect them to the original LinkedIn profile. So the user won't know that they have just provided us their credentials. Because this is a local environment, we will set up it on our home server, and it will be accessible from our home server, our lab. But in production environments, when you are actually doing a penetration test, your landing page should be accessible on the internet. So it should have a public IP or domain, public IP and domain. So that way, the user, when you send someone a phishing link, they need to be able to connect to the landing page. Sending profiles, this is very important. This is where we set up our email server, which will send the phishing email. And then there are other settings which we can set up, but because this is a brief interview, we'll just cover the basics. So we set up a new campaign. We call it campaign one, and we need to give it an email template. We need to give it a landing page, the URL of the landing page where it will go, and just like I uh, discussed before, that it should be reachable by the targets. So this is going to be the URL of the landing page, and then the sending profile we're going to set, and we're going to check it whether it works or not, because most of the companies actually don't provide their don't allow their services to be used for phishing, even if it's legal. uh, so most of the time you have to set up your own email server, but for this we're going to use Outlook, and I've tested it before. So Outlook works for phishing emails, but yes, there is a chance they're going to block it after you send some emails. But because this is a test environment, we're going to use Outlook. And then the groups, we can define groups to which we want to send the campaign. So before launching campaign, we need to set up an email template landing page. We need to give it the URL and the sending profile. Now first we will go to the sending profile and set up our email. So we can set up a name for it. I'm using this name. This will be our fake LinkedIn employee. When I use SMTP protocol, which is used to send email. And this is very important. So this is our email. We're gonna give it the first name, last name. That is optional. We need to, but we need to give it our email that we're gonna use for phishing, which we have set up on Outlook. The email we have, this is the email. So we're gonna use this email. This is a test email created just for this purpose. Now we're gonna give it the settings. Good thing about Outlook is that the set SMTP settings are readily available. We can copy them. So their SMTP port is 587 and this is the server. It is 587. Now we're gonna use the email and password. We can also add custom headers, but this is a little bit advanced thing and we will not go into detail. And now we'll try sending the test email. So just to see that whether it works or not. This is a fake email which is which is gonna act as our recipient. So for example, this is a person from a company. This is the victim you wanna attack, and you want to send. You're doing a phishing assessment in an ethical manner, legally with permission and authorization. So this is one of the victims you want to target, and you know this is a potential victim for your attack because you have done your research within the passive reconnaissance phase, and from that information you realize that this target can be phished, and you can get them to click on the malicious link of your choice, and you can get the credentials for to further your attack. So in this test case, this is our victim. So we're gonna use them for test. I will call I will use a test name, something like that. I will give it. I will use the email, and for example, that is a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. This is just for the demonstration, and they should receive a fake email. In a in an actual case, you're not gonna send the test email to your victim. You're gonna test it to send it to your own email because you're testing it. But in an after that, when we're gonna set up the campaign with uh, with a customized email template landing page, then we're gonna send the actual email. If this is successful, then it means that our email server is set up right. Otherwise, we'll have to do some changes. So there was an issue with our settings. This is something because we're using Microsoft, and there's some things that they change from time to time. So when we were trying our test email, it was not working because uh, we were using the wrong server. We were using smtpoutlook.com, but to send emails from Outlook, now we gotta use smtp.office365.com, and the port is the same. So basically these settings. And now we can actually send our test email. And it takes some time, but it is takes some time, but now it is gonna send the email. So as you can see, it took some time, but the email is sent, and now we have the email. And this was the one I tested before. This one, and this is the email. So as you can see, the test email is working. Email letting you know that your Profish configuration was successful. And this was the email we used. Now we can go further. We will save this information. Now we'll go to the email template and we'll set up a template. Can call it template form. And this is very important. This is the name uh, that is actually going to be shown to the victim. So we can make it credible. For example, if you're going to use a LinkedIn email template, we can use a name that is in that aligns with that. So some guy approaching a victim from LinkedIn, someone they know. That depends on the scenario, the pen testing scenario for the person who are phishing. And if, for example, if it's a normal guy, you can use some Microsoft employee name, and that way you can receive the victim. So in this case, we're gonna use a predefined template. So this is available on GitHub, phishing template for GoFish, and this is an email template which we're gonna use. So we copy it and paste it here in the HTML because it is HTML. And we can use name for example. So we have this John Doe at LinkedIn.com. This is just for example, because this is a test scenario, but this is where you will use a fake name and email to deceive your victim. We can ask this, for example, we can use a scenario in which we want to um, call a sense of urgency for our victim so that they may click the given links in the email and they give us their credentials. Can save it. Just saved here. Then we go to the landing page, and now we create a landing page from where we can get the credentials. This one, or we can even go to LinkedIn.com, for example, wanna get them to give us their LinkedIn credential. We have this page. We can actually copy and put page source, copy this and paste it here. And we can check this, and this way we can actually when they log in on our fake landing page, which will be a lookalike of this, we will have their email and password. Because this is a lab, it will only work on the home network. But if this was a real assessment and we had our home domain with a public IP address, we could capture password or credentials from anywhere. And then we can redirect them to the actual LinkedIn website. And most of the victims won't even realize that they gave us their credentials and they have been phished. So this is where the email template is done. Now we define a user. We can call it quick point. And because we can import a CSV file which has a list of emails, so we can bulk import users, or we can add one user or multiple users by name one by one. In this case, we have a fake guy. Again, we will use the same email. Skybrush and finance. We tag it, and we have the information there. We can add more users. Uh, any user we add in this group, when we select this group in our campaign, all of them will get a phishing link. So for now, we just wanna fish this one. So we add save changes. So now everything is done, and now we can make a campaign. So as you can see, it has already automatically selected. If you had multiple templates, you would choose from here. If you had multiple landing pages, we would choose. But it has already selected the top ones. So this was the email template we added. This is the landing page. We got campaign. Done. This is the this is our listener. Because this is a local network, I will use the IP of my machine, which is this one. And now we will set the campaign to launch on this date, but the time will be 90. And this is the email profile we set up, and now we'll set the group. So all of the things that we added are now selected. The group is selected, our victim, email profile, which is used to send email. We can again test us. Uh, you can again send a test email to check here, and our landing page and template. And you need to always be careful full about the test email, because if you're using a service like Outlook or any other services, they can block your phishing account very fast, your email account. So you have to be careful on that. But in actual pen testing scenario, you will have your own email server, so that won't be a problem. Campaign is now scheduled. So now, as we can see on our dashboard, we have this information. When it will be 9:19, it will send the email. If the user opens the email, so we'll have uh, the count will increase to number one here. And if they click a link here, then this will become one. If this even submit their data, then this will uh, go to one from zero. And if they report it, then it will add to this. So this is a good uh, way to get all the information about your victim. And because most of the time you are uh, in, and I would recommend like in 99% of cases, this is done ethically with permission within the companies, within the organizations. So this information is further used to gauge how much security awareness your employees have, the people in the company have, and then you can train them accordingly. So as you can see, the status is queued. Campaign is created and it is scheduled for 1919. So we will wait for that. And this is our victim. And of course, because this is a demonstration, so we're going to act as the victim and we will see how the email looks like. We should now receive the phishing email anytime now. Now we will just wait. It takes a little time to send the email. Although the uh, campaign has started at 1919, but we have yet to send the can see that the campaign is in progress. But just like with our test result, test email, it took some time. And that's a problem with using public SMTP servers, email servers to send the email. We can just wait now. In this case, I will pause the video until the email is sent, and then we will continue. We had a problem in our when we sent the message, probably because we cannot use another email. We can just use the name, but we'll have to use the actual email. So we go to our email template and we change this. We can just change the name, but we cannot use another email. That is something we need to keep in mind. Should like complete the campaign, make another campaign. Give it 925. Select the group and launch it. It should work right now. Time is up and it should work. So this is sometimes it is trial and error because with public IP addresses, you have to be careful with public SMTP servers because we don't know uh, their policies, how they actually work. So sometimes there are issues with them. But that was a good example of how you can troubleshoot the error. If you get an error, you can always open this timeline and you can see what kind of error you got. And based on your experience or knowledge, you can resolve it. In progress. And uh, this time it should work. So our email is now sent, and this is how it will look like. Again, we are using a test case here, but we could use a fake email server with uh, domain which could look like similar to LinkedIn, for example, link.in, something like that, and a name. But this is what will get the victim to fake. So it is just a template, but we can also improve that based on our victim to increase the chances. So now, if the victim clicks on any of the link, it will open up fake link. So as you can see, this is our machine IP address, and this is local because we are on the local network. But in an actual scenario, this would be a domain, our fake domain, for example, link.in or linked.i.n.com, something like that, a fake domain, and we can get there. But a normal user will not even suspect this. And if it's a non-IT person, they won't even look at this. They won't even know what this is. But again, based on the victim, we need to. So in an actual scenario, we need to make this clear to. So for example, the user writes to email here, John something email, and their password is something like password 123. Then they press sign in, And now they're redirected to the actual LinkedIn page. So they might just suspect that, oh, probably the page got refreshed and I need to enter that again. And when they enter their information now, they will sign in to the actual LinkedIn. But here, as we can see, our email was sent and the link was clicked. And we also have the PC and browser information. And we also have the information that the data is entered. And as you can see here, we got the password, we got the credential email. So this is how we can phish somebody. And as you can see, all of these are now done. So this is the first stage, the second stage, the third and fourth, the most dangerous stage. And the suspect did not report it. And we can also now export it, the results to a CSV file and look at that later. And this can also come in handy for making a report on this. So this was all for phishing. This is how you can use GoFish to fish somebody, uh, of course, legally and ethically in an authorized fashion uh, within an organization, or if you're hired by an organization. And there are other types of social engineering, but phishing is almost one of the most important, and it preys on the lack of security awareness of the employees and people. Right? So that's why it is one of the most effective penetration testing techniques ever. That was all for phishing. In this section, we had a brief look at some social engineering techniques and had a somewhat deeper look at one of its most popular types, that is phishing. We had a practical demonstration of setting up phishing attacks with the help of the GoFish framework, and we discussed its various benefits for phishing assessments. So that was all for social engineering, particularly phishing. See you in the next video. Happy hacking.